Big question here on Morning Kickaround. I'm Robert. He's Jason, and kind of a thought experiment here in this video. With just a few weeks remaining, a couple games to go in the USL, we're going to take a look at if the proposed promotion and relegation was implemented this year. What would that mean to the tables, and what do you think the implications would be on the leagues and those teams caught up in the ups and the downs of the pro rel to come? What if it happened already and we're already living in this world?
Yeah, let's imagine a future in which a CBA has been agreed to between the USLPA and all the various USL competitions, that they've launched their pyramid, that we've got movement between three different leagues. Now, we don't know what Division 1 is going to look like yet. Like we're working on our answering some questions or finding out figuring out what the questions are that the league faces, that USL faces around organizing pro rel. We don't know which teams are going to be first division, which teams are going to be USL Championship. But let's imagine that there was promotion and relegation between the two USL professional leagues right now, and that clubs in the USL Championship will be dropping down to USL League One next year if they finish bottom three. Now, we are putting aside the possibility of promotion and relegation playoffs, at least between leagues, the way that, say, Germany does it, Rob, or even a playoff between teams to see who stays up and goes down within the USL Championship, because that gets too complicated.
For this conversation, that's too complicated, but when it actually does happen, I would love for that, like the third place team to play the third lowest.
Something like that, right? So, well, hold on. Do you prefer the Bundesliga model, which is the 16th place team in the Bundesliga plays, I think, the third place team in the second Bundesliga to see who has that spot in the top division? You like that one?
Yeah, I really do like that. I think that that's interesting. And I think that if there was ever a launch connecting the MLS, we're not going to touch there too much, but I would think that if they wanted the lightest version of Pro Rel, it would almost just be a play in. If like that second division is so weak and that MLS team just mops the floor with them, then they didn't deserve to be there. But
I see.
But I do like them out. I like the way that Germany does it, and I think that that's just such high drama to so much on the line there.
We're in the weeds here. I'm sorry, but are we talking a one-off playoff game at the higher leagues team home field, or are we talking about a two aggregate series? What are we talking about here?
Well, I think we should do a 2-game aggregate series, give both sides the spectacle in their home field, more chance to sell tickets, all that jazz. But that's high drama.
Okay.
The games on the line to protect your D1 status, or potentially, thing of dreams, a dream come true to be promoted. But that's not necessarily what we are hanging on here in this video. We're talking about 3 up, 3 down.
Yeah.
6 of the contenders here in the USL Championship to go down. Stalwart Tampa Bay Rowdies, lower in the table than they're used to being. Birmingham Legion and Miami FC. So this is a big part of why I wanted to do this, is Miami FC not doing very well in the USL Championship, but we just talked last week. They want to build a 15,000 person stadium that would hit the PLS for a first division. We don't know if they've applied yet, but seemingly that is in their minds. But here they sit in last place in the USL Championship. How do those things go together?
Yeah, look, this is why some people, and certainly people who, even if they like the idea of promotion and relegation as a concept, would say we can't do it here, at least not yet. And maybe, American soccer is like, what's the ship? Somebody is going to remember the name of the ship. Whoever the guy who had the ship, where you're replacing parts as you sail. And so if you replace all of the parts by the time you arrive at your destination, is it the same ship? Like, that's American soccer. We're always kind of, as we continue along, replacing parts, things are falling off, we're putting on new ones, clubs disappear, we add a couple here and there. So that would be an argument against Pro Rel on some front, because if you said to Miami FC, you're going down, bro, like you're in the bottom of the championship, you're out of here, then can they go to Homestead, Florida and say, hey, build us a 15,000 seat stadium, or help us to build a 15,000 seat stadium? Homestead, Florida, like that? I don't know. I'm not saying that Homestead would have a problem, or Miami FC might not still be ambitious as a USL League One team, but that question does loom. So you said those are the three teams in the Eastern Conference. We got the three teams in the West is Monterey Bay, Oakland Roots, and Las Vegas Lights. Now, the reason I did it this way is because obviously you have two conferences in the USL Championship, and I don't have a combined table available, but you can see the points. Right now, Miami would be at the bottom, Birmingham 2 points above them. Then you have Las Vegas on 25 points, and then Oakland, Tampa Bay, and then Monterey Bay is a point above those teams. So that's, you can say 6 all the way down, right? Now, this would mean, like, if relegation was happening right now, there would be a battle between these 6 teams, and maybe toss in a couple others who didn't make this graphic, who would be battling to avoid being in those bottom 3 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine that it stayed the way it is. So that's Miami, Birmingham, and Las Vegas going down. You lose, if you are USL, from your top division, which is the USL Championship at the moment, you would lose the markets of Miami, Las Vegas, and Birmingham, Alabama. Now, maybe that's not a thing. Maybe, who cares what markets you lose? You're gonna add markets from USL League One that come up, or there are plenty of more. Again, when we talk about PLS, we don't know how this fits, and it's one of the questions we have for USL. How do PLS apply when you lose Miami, Florida, and maybe replace it with Madison, Wisconsin, or Greenville, South Carolina, which doesn't meet the PLS for a first division league? How does U.S. Soccer deal with that? And I'm not saying that U.S. Soccer should be like, nope, you can't have a first division league because you might replace Miami with Greenville. I'm saying there has to be a change to the way we think about this. It's why we also have out there the question of, is there a conversation around PLS happening right now? Because the PLS have never had to deal with this. U.S. Soccer by no means has said, nope, this isn't happening. We're putting the kibosh on this. You can't do pro rel. They're saying the level of investment and the interest in the soccer is a good thing for the American game. It seems at least that they are open to trying to figure this out. So but then there's the effect on the clubs itself, Rob. Beyond, Miami wants to build a stadium, but even if they weren't, what would that mean? What would it mean for Las Vegas to be playing in USL League One? Do you think that would impact them at all? Or is it just the same? By the way, thank you to Crispy Doo. Ship of Perseus. That's exactly right. It's not how you spell Perseus, I don't think, but that's what I'm talking about. The ship of Perseus.
Can we give a shout out to the information and knowledge and the expertise in the chat that's going on these days?
Yeah.
I mean, pulling Perseus.
Let me also address this from our new member, Simply Don't. There is a conversation happening between USL and USSF. There's always conversations happening between everybody. Let's just say that. There are probably emails exchanged on a regular basis between USL and US Soccer, because US Soccer sanctions leagues and has oversight on a number of things, and USL wants to be in their good graces. Whether they are sitting down and negotiating differences in the PLS for USL or changes, or that is not known. All right. I know there's some reporting on this, but it's not real firm, and I haven't seen any second reporting on it. So it's not to say it's not happening. It's just we cannot be 100% sure that they have gone down the road of trying to figure out what PLS looks like under Pro Rel. Right? Oh, Theseus, not Perseus. Thank you to Dylan. It's we're getting all of our Greek mythology stuff wrong today.
So looking at these individual teams, like, how would that affect them? So Las Vegas and Miami both have had ups and downs as far as they've had good attendance in the past. Might have trickled down, up and down, definitely up and down for Las Vegas Lights. Definitely Miami has taken a hit since Inter Miami showed up into town. So would a drop down another league cement?
From an attendance perspective, it would have no. It couldn't really have an impact on Miami because their attendance is terrible. They average 1,100 fans. Right? What could going down mean for them? Not a whole lot, but it does mean that they are kind of stuck in the mud. And again, if you're talking about plans like building a stadium, would that impact that, or you just keep charging forward because you're trying to get the team out of the mud? And it doesn't matter what league you're in, win your way up after you get your new stadium built or whatever. And in a place like Vegas is not doing that great on attendance either. 26. Now they're bad, right? Maybe people aren't showing up because they're bad. If you send them down to the third division, the second division in this case, does that make people more excited for them? Probably not.
Would
So
anyone
again,
notice though? Would anyone know? The people of Las Vegas, would they notice the difference between USL Championship and USL League One? Are they following it close? I'm sure there's dedicated supporters that obviously would, but the empty seats people, the ones that were once there that are no longer there, would they
yeah,
care the difference between Championship and
that's
League
a good
One?
question.
But at the
That's
same
it's a
time,
good question.
I mean, I think a lot of teams that are not fully embedded yet, we don't have generational buy-in as far as supporterhood. Can you do that with only 6 wins out of 26 games? I mean, you have to give them something
Right,
to buy in,
right.
and
Yeah,
being at the
and
bottom is a
you
tough
know,
spot.
here's another thing. What is not established yet, and this is more conceptual than anything else. Again, I'm not saying this is a problem to be fixed, but in a place like England, and just to use that example because we're all familiar with it, you are certain that a Premier League team, there will be players whose contracts are canceled because of relegation clauses, but you're certain that a Premier League team, especially with parachute payments, is going to be better on talent, more than likely, than almost everybody else in the championship when they go down, right? And this is why we got yo-yo teams, because teams from the Premier League come down with advantages, and then those advantages are executed against the league that they are playing in. We don't know if there are going to be distinct differences in quality between the first USL division, the second USL division, and the third USL division. You would presume as much, but it's not nearly as established because the media rights are not there to fund the top level team at a significantly higher level than the second level team. Do you know what I'm saying, Rob? Do you understand what I'm
Totally,
saying here? Like
totally.
if Vegas went down, they could be the worst. And look, double relegation has happened. Bad teams have tumbled down the table in England. I'm not saying, but that's that thing of like, oh, Vegas is coming from the championship into League One. Well, they're going to be one of the better League One teams because they're coming from the championship. They were not good for championship level, but they should still be better than everybody else in League One based on the talent that they bring down. And I don't know how relegation clauses are going to be if they're going to be part of this or not. In fact,
But as
we
it
couldn't get
stands
that.
now, the USL One and the USL Championship is basically the budget that you had going in.
It's
It was what you bought, your buy-in level essentially at this
right.
point.
Again, again, because of the way media rights is sort of split out and not, it doesn't trickle down to the clubs in USL. This is part of the reporting around this news about ProRel that is not how the media rights work, right? You have owners of USL, they organize the league, the media rights flow to them. Clubs are on their own for making the money that they need to operate, right? To bring in players so that they can be successful on the field and then presumably add more fans in the stands and maybe get coverage and maybe get a local TV deal or something to that effect. Right? This is still so early. And again, they're doing this, Rob, because it's a differentiator for their league, for their competitions to add ProRel and be the only ones doing that. But that's just an interesting part of this to me, that the economic maturity is not there for us to compare apples to apples what happens in other countries.
No, we're not there at all. Are we going to dip into the positive side of it of who might go up, or are we going to save that for a future?
I don't have the table for that, Rob. You can go look at. I mean, obviously we're talking about USL League One because there is no division above the championship as it sits right now. So if you look at USL League One and consider who might be going up, and that's a league that's smaller, right? So
Yep.
that league is not split up between two conferences the way that the championship is. So it's kind of easier to just pick out. Now, playoffs as part of not just who stays in the league in the Bundesliga model or the German model, but also who goes up, right? Or who wins a title and then goes like, does the playoff do the finalists both go up? What if you finish sixth to make the playoffs and then are a finalist for the USL League One title because you're still doing playoffs to determine champions? Or does USL intend to toss out playoffs and do single table because now ProRel is on the table? Those questions are not clear.
Well, that's what
Those
kind of makes
answers.
this moment in time that we're doing this show so compelling and interesting because I mean, it's we can speculate till our our ears bleed that there is just so many variables and details to pick out. And I was about to read it off my phone, but Crispy Dewey got it right here. Chattanooga Red Wolves won Knoxville and FC Naples as it stands would be the top 3 going up. And so like Tampa Bay, Las Vegas or Miami dropping down. Oh, no, my apologies. Birmingham, Miami, and Las Vegas as it
Right,
stands, replaced
which
by
again,
Naples, Knoxville, and Chattanooga.
if Pro Rel was in place, and obviously if it was single table, which I also have an issue with doing Pro Rel when you don't have a balanced schedule.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
seems odd to me.
yeah, definitely.
It's relative strength being what it is. But in this case, we would be talking about at least these 6 teams in a battle going into the last 4 or 5 games of the year. Monterey Bay only has 3 games left, so they're actually at a disadvantage relative to the teams that they're competing against. So that would be what this is about, right? That drama at the end of the season. Who's going to stay up? Obviously, in the case of coming up, Chattanooga leading the league in League One, Knoxville, Naples, Spokane, chasing Naples and Knoxville, trying to get into that top 2 or 3. Is it going to be top 2 are automatically promoted? Third place team is in a playoff. Do you do playoffs from 3 to 6? Do you replace your league championship playoffs with promotion playoffs, which in that case would mean Portland Hearts of Pine and Union Omaha would both be in the playoffs if you did 3 through 6, a la the English Championship? I mean, so many possibilities. The mind explodes. We're all
And
the mind exploding meme right now.
and where my heart usually lies, and I exist mostly in the USL 2 world outside of this show, and I just got to think of the bottom of the table in USL League One is expansion side Westchester SC, and does the USL 2 champion Vermont Green get a shot
No,
at getting in the
stop it.
bottom?
Stop it with that. If they want to go pro, they got to go pro. They got to declare for that. They're not going to just come up because they won that league because they're
If
not a pro outfit.
they get a promotion token exchange for future promotions.
Well, I mean, again, this is a complication too. Not forget Vermont Green. Congratulations to Vermont Green. Incredible season. Short season. Also worth pointing out, like all those things. But you're talking about Westchester. Westchester is brand spanking new. We had their owner on. His heart is in the right place. He wants to build something there in the suburbs of New York City. Does sending him down in his first year, if there was a level below below League One, sending him down, is that the right thing to do for a brand new team? Or do you
Yeah,
just have to accept that? Like, take your lumps. And again, if it's not, whether it's good or not, does USL have to bake into the system some sort of protection so a club like that can manage to stay alive so that they can fight to go back up, so they're not disappearing off the map? Because we dot the map. We do not erase things off. We don't want to erase things off the map. And this is the trouble with this, as we consider both the good and the bad with the USL approach to everything that's going on right now, and of course bring the players into the conversation.
yeah. I mean, as we pick our way through this, it just goes to the example of like there's so many details to be worked out, because obviously we know that first year of any professional organization, even at the very top of the mainstream NFL and the NBA, is the first year is a struggle, and for them to immediately become an amateur side the year after going pro would be disastrous and counterproductive. To your point there, but plenty to think about. We are definitely in the I don't know if the murky middle or somewhere where we're just planting those seeds, and what grows out of this soil of the American soccer landscape.
We
Very
do not
unknown.
have time to dive into this, and I know we did our very speculative and sort of like ignoring some of the details of the PLS. But that question of, do any championship clubs, what championship clubs currently meet the PLS standards as they sit, not as they might be negotiated, but as they sit right now? And Rob, what do we know? We know 15,000 seater stadium, enclosed stadium, by the way. You got to stand on one side or stand on the other. That's not good enough. It's supposed to be enclosed.
Do they consider those old school, like Chicago Fire and the old Columbus Crew Stadium, where it's like a stage on one end? Is that considered enclosed? Hopefully,
I think it just means, well,
it's not
that's a
just
good
an empty
question.
thing.
That's a good question. What constitutes enclosed in that situation? Okay. Anyway, we are talking about 15,000 seats. We're talking about population of the metro region, again, which is kind of a floating number sometimes. And what if you're 950? Are they going to say no? You don't count. It's a
Yeah, what if
million.
some
Like,
families move out? Like you're gonna lose your status because some people move to a different state or something.
yeah, I mean, yeah, again, some of this stuff should be malleable, and you can't imagine U.S. Soccer is going to take a hard line on like literally every one of those standards in every single case. But maybe those won't count as quote unquote waivers. Is that maybe they don't count as waivers. They're just kind of like, well, you're close enough. Like close enough. 75% of the league's teams must be based in the United States. Not a problem for USL. All stadiums must have controllable ingress egress. That's just like you got to have like a fence around your stadium, and you can control who can come in and go out. Right? That is absolutely a thing. Yeah, I mean, financial viability, we know about that. That's kind of not something we can take into account. Again, the size of the stadium for the first division league is 15,000, and when you look at the current situation, you've got, let's see, we've got Oakland Roots, but they're playing in a giant place they'd rather not play in. You've got Birmingham Legion playing in a football stadium. You've got Miami FC playing in a football stadium. They don't want to play in it anymore. Let's see. Who else even meets that? That's it? Is that the list?
Louisville?
No, Louisville is, I think Louisville is less than 12. I think they have to increase their capacity to meet the standard. So,
and we already
again,
saw that standard changed when D1 became a possibility. Detroit City FC's stadium plans had to get rearranged to get themselves to qualify. So with that, actually, that's a good point of Detroit must think that they're going to be pretty solid on holding to that 15,000 if they're going to rearrange their stadium capacity plans.
The current PLS standards, again, waivers are possible. These are not hard, fast rules. All league stadiums must have a minimum seating capacity of 15,000. That's what it says.
High bar?
At least 75% of the league's teams must play in metro markets of at least 1 million persons.
That's a lot of persons.
There are, and then you get into this from Bernardo. Do you really want San Antonio leaving their soccer-specific stadium to go play in the Alamo Dome because it's bigger and it fits the professional league standard? Like, I don't think that's ideal.
No.
So again, there's so many questions out there. And stay tuned. We're working on putting something out on the biggest questions as we see them.